Welcome back to Coach's Corner here at USC again. I'm your host, Morgan Lifchez, and joining us today is Coach Ike Ofoje from the men's soccer team. Coach, you wrapped up your season.
Yep, thank you, Morgan. It's been a long one, but finally
done.
Glad it's over, but at the same time, excited more than ever that we did what we did.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Did well.
Yeah.
Exceeded our expectations to start with.
Really?
I can't put it into words, how happy I am for my players and for our program, for what we did this year. At least we've set a standard, a bar right now on what we have to expect of ourselves going forward.
Now, something that I've noticed that you did throughout the season is you'll have your true freshmen and your transfers all on the starting lineup, and I think that's great. Now, can you tell me more about how those players have impressed you in any way?
Well, that's one of my coaching philosophies, is that every year everybody starts on the same level playing field, and you work your way in.
Yeah.
It's not a question of I've been here 2 years, so I have to start, or I have to play a certain number of minutes.
Right.
You come in and you work hard. I try to coach them during the summer. I send them information. This is what to expect. If you do 1, 2, 3, chances are you will play. And this is the 1 year I know that they all lived up to it, at least the ones that are playing. So it's a question of you come in on the team, everybody knows where they stand. If you're playing, you know why you're playing. If you're not playing, you know why you're not playing. So it's not a question of coach, I'm a senior, I should play, or I'm a junior, No, but that's just the philosophy that we have in place, and it works well.
Yeah. Well, tell me, of all your players that you've had this season, who has impressed you the most overall?
That would be a tough one to say, because they all played different roles. And individually, I try to explain what their roles are and what I expect. And for the most part, they did well.
Yeah.
However, I think the true freshmen are the ones that surprised me the most. And the likes of Jordan Misiri and Andrew Semen, of course. They are two young men that played above their age. They were in total control, and that's something you rarely see in freshmen. They were in control of their game. They were in control of their decisions on the field. And then you have the likes of Brett Smith, who played at the level I expected him to. He came in and he closed most of the games for us. He scored some clutch goals that made a big difference. Then of course Jan Wester is a little older, but he's a freshman as well. And of course he's seasoned. The way he played, you could tell that he's had more experience than all the other freshmen. But a bit because he's older, I don't consider him. I expect more from him. And coming from Germany also. But these two young men, Jordan and Andre and Brett, they're just, I consider true freshmen that I never knew could have done as well as they did.
Good. Well, over the course of the season, you had many players win awards of Athlete of the Week or Student Athlete of the Month even, and you were honored with the Coach of the Year award, which we talked about last time. But what does all this mean for your program? Again,
it just put us at a level that we've tried to get to for years, and finally it's here. I think what it does is sets a standard to what's expected. And now going forward, hopefully, our recruiting will reflect that so that we can maintain what we're doing.
Right.
Now we know that anything less than this will be a letdown. So it's tough to, it's always, even as a player, I know that getting to the top, it's not the toughest. It's staying there. So sometimes playing your way up to the point we're now is fun. But now, can we do it again and again? That's the big question that we have to answer.
So those would be your expectations for the next season?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Trying to at least do as well as we did this year and even more. That's
Yeah.
going to be the goal. And I think we can.
Well, I'm wondering, before we wrap up, something that your players like to talk about a lot is your famous Ike quotes. And I know, again, this is something we've already talked about before, but is there anything you might want to leave us off with for the show? Something, one of your just infamous quotes that we could get here on the show?
Morgan, that's a surprise. You see, these things, sometimes I don't think about them. When I think about them, then they usually don't come around. But I tell the guys, do the best you can, so that when the time comes, you can always go home and say, well, I know I gave it my best. From now on, God will help me. Unfortunately, I don't have a quote for you for today, but I promise you next time.
That's okay.
Try to hit me again at some time, and I'll give you a good one.
All right, good. We'll catch you next season.
Absolutely.
And we'll get one then. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. So it's been a pleasure.
It's been fun.
Always, always.
Once again, this is Coach's Corner here at USC Aiken. We'll see you next time.